Welcome, Carm Capriato, the Service Aftermarket's podcast pioneer with the gold standard of aftermarket business podcasts. Join me for Aftermarket Insights as we advance the aftermarket. And as always, know that you'll learn just one thing. Find us on your favorite podcast listening app and remarkableresults.biz or on my YouTube channel. Hey everyone, Carm Capriato, Remarkable Results Radio. We are here at the Automotive Aftermarket Retailers of Ontario, AARO.ca. They sponsored us to come out here. And I've actually had an incredible blast. Just did the keynote a few hours ago. We're recording so many episodes. There's great Canadians. I have relatives in Ottawa that are Canadians, but I didn't know you guys are so much fun. You know, when you're on your own land, you're so much fun. God, let me introduce Carlo Sabucco, Sills Auto Care Center, Oakville, Ontario. Carlo, hi.
Hello, Carm. Thank you, everybody.
Good to
Pleasure
see you.
To be here.
You have been on my show a bunch of times. We haven't had John in a while, so I'm so glad we connected. Glen Colling is here from Eastside Auto Service, Oakville, Ontario.
Hey, Carm.
Hey, Glen.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Mark Bergasse. Mark, I heard you introduce, they didn't say the E like I say as an Italian. It's Bergasse?
It's Bergasse.
It's Bergasse, okay.
Bergasse. Just
Bergasse, okay.
Burr and gas.
All right, I'm going to just cross the E out here, and I think I can say it right from now on. From Mark's Auto Service. What's the town?
Oakville.
You're in Oakville too.
Oakville.
There's a connection here, and I see how that works. Before I tell you the story of why this trio is here, we want to thank our great sponsors for the Town Hall Academy. You know, for over 30 years, Napa Trax has made selecting the right shop management system easy by offering the best, most comprehensive SMS in the industry. We'll prove to you that Napa Trax is the single best shop management system in the business. Find Napa Trax on the web at napatracs.com. And auto shop owners, imagine investing in a change that transforms your business and multiplies your net profit. On average, our clients see a staggering 9x, that's 9 times, return on their investment in net profit. AutoFix Auto Shop Coaching at autoshopcoaching.com. Talk to my friend Chris Cotton. And are you ready to optimize training with today's class? Roll out a training plan for your automotive shop in just 5 minutes daily. Boost your knowledge of all the team. Find the way that they can retain all this great information and improve your team's performance. Start seeing results today. Join your peers at todaysclass.com. Hey, if you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe, give the video a thumbs up, and thanks. Hey, we're back. Thanks. So let me set the reason that Carlo, Glen, and Mark are here. It was July of 2018. Wow. It's a long time ago, guys. That I did an episode, Carlo, I think it was you that I may have spoken to and says something really interesting happened with our team. Mark had a heart attack and it was like sudden. I'm just trying to paraphrase the story. Tell me, fix me if I'm wrong. Wife called you guys because you were, all in the same town. You just worked together and says, hey, he's going in for open heart. The team rallied and helped keep the business running. And it's an incredibly unique story. And in fact, great magazine, Cars here, the Canadian Auto Repair Service magazine, I'm going to hold it up, did a feature story back. And there's the team. We're missing Todd Sarson. He couldn't make it out of the 4. And we had you guys all on that podcast back in July. It's episode 341, Remarkable 341. And we're going to almost celebrate 1,000 episodes coming up here in about a month.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much. And it's guys like you that come on and share and tell these stories. And all of a sudden, people, maybe we changed lives when we did this way back. And maybe we did, Mark, because I know your life changed.
My life definitely changed, or could have changed really bad if they didn't step in and help.
So here's what I'm burning to know. How much did they change your business on you?
We're in bottom line impact group type of thing together, G4, and Carlo definitely sped up some of the implementation of some of the items we had. And he also did some takeaway from my shop too. So it was a win-win for all of us.
He had a let's do this attitude?
This doesn't work for me, so we're just going to rip it out and put my ways in, and we'll figure it out once Mark gets back type situation.
Yeah,
but
it's all good.
In the overall, that was the whole premise back then, was to prove that a management group who followed the same rules of engagement in business could jump in another business, peers, and run it.
Absolutely.
And it was proof.
That was our acid test, right?
Yep.
All
And
the
it
work
worked.
we're doing that somebody could step in. Yeah.
Yep.
Because we did it short term for holidays, or you're out of town one time,
Yep.
Glen, and your advisor had to go to the hospital.
That's
and
right.
We
Yeah.
all took turns stepping in and running
Yep.
your shop for a day or so.
Yeah, that was our service manager. He had a kidney stone. Our whole family was down in Florida. We ended up needing somebody to run the business, right? So we just made the call back home, and you guys stepped in.
So the reason we're doing this show is it's, if you will, a post mortem, and that's not being a negative thing. It's just that this happened a while back, and I thought the story of what exactly. Listen, in the beginning, you came on and you told your story. I get that, but now it's been this many years later. I know the friendships are still as strong, and the business is evolving and it's changing. And I just want this to be a great lesson for people that should get together in their organizations. And I'm not saying it's these national peer groups, awfully tough to fly someone in to cover, but in your local groups, and I know there's a lot of independent groups out there, you should start talking about this stuff. Would you be willing to cover for me if something,
Yeah.
doesn't happen? I think that's a story that needs to be told.
And we talk about 20 groups, and there's a purpose for a 20 group. The financials, the numbers, the discussionary, but sometimes finding a local group is almost like a little mini family. And that's what the group was, and it was also a way to acid test, like we say, how our systems work within our community, how our process, our marketing, and all the other stuff that went along with it. But it is also a backup system. Like you hear more often in podcasts, the spouse passes, the shop owner passes, and there's no backup. By having a local group, 5 or 6 shop owners together who can put their differences aside, instead of being independent, become dependent on each other, you almost build your own little social network, backup network. So I'm not taking away from the big 20 groups, but it's sometimes nice to have a local organization. Call it a family of shop owners.
Phone a friend too, like, for example, they had to step away from their shops to come and run mine in my absence, and their shops were able to run efficiently without them being there too. So that's a big deal.
So, are you guys competitive? I didn't say competitors. Are you competitive?
Every bone in my body is competitive as far as I'm concerned. But when it comes to being like competitors with these guys, I don't consider them my competitors.
If you come up with a great idea before you launch, do you share it with these guys?
I would share it 100%. Yeah, because that's how we've run all our acid test processes, right?
And so, Mark, you're relying on this team. Come on, feed me, baby. You got an idea. Let's go.
I don't have an idea right now, but we always just share it. Like, it's just...
It's brilliant.
We've had a tech for probably about 4 years. We helped groom him, get him through the processes and stuff like that. And he chose to leave my business, went somewhere else. It wasn't the grass was greener, but I ensured that I said, my door is always open. But instead of my door being open at my business, he now works for Mark.
Yeah.
I'm sharing a former employee with a peer in the group because I know Mark has the credentials. He's got the leadership skills that I don't have for this individual. And hopefully Mark can maybe form him or change him. But we've done that in our group. My cousin works for Todd. Matt came out of the automotive sector from the dealer. I said, you know what? I've got this great shop that he's got a great leader and they can help you out. I could have brought him into my business, but I just didn't have him spot. So we placed him into Todd's business. So it's not only just competing against, we're also helping each other. That's a big part of it. But we are very competitive still against the market. And we do compete against each other. I have a fine line that with Glen, it's a geographical. I say, hey, I don't cross this border, you don't cross mine. But we still compete. We are very competitive.
So a customer from his neighborhood comes into your place. You're not going to chase him back there. You're going to take care of him?
I will typically, in the past, I have had Eastside Auto vehicles because he's got the nameplates on his cars. Mm-hmm. I'll typically say, like, why did you leave? Well, they didn't do this right. I know who they are. Did you give them an opportunity to explain it? No, not really. Then maybe you should go back and talk to them. If that doesn't work, then too bad. So sad. They're my customer now.
I agree. Yeah. Same thing with us at Eastside Auto, right? Like we'll have some of your guys' customers come in as well, and we share customers back and forth. It was really interesting because working on the counter at Mark's while he was away, right? It was interesting how some of the customers would come in and say, Glen, what are you doing here?
Oh my God.
We're still all badged up with like
Think
Eastside
about
Auto
that.
or Sills Auto Care or you know, it was like they were just actually very happy that we were there to support Mark. And, you know, and I was happy to serve them in any way I could, because that's my heart. It's just to be of service to help Mark's customers, right? So whether they were mine before or whether they come back, like as long as they're getting taken care of, I'd rather them go to one of my guys like Mark or Todd or Carlo than go somewhere else.
Keep it in the family.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we have similar systems too. So the client is being taken care of. You know, they're being taken care of. Even if they're not coming to you, they're at least they're being taken care of equally.
So you all have the same shop management system.
Yes.
Well, that makes
We essentially call ours, it would be like we used to say, we're like franchises, we're just not franchised.
Right.
But we run almost identical
similar.
to each other.
one of the things that I learned this morning in one of the classes is your incredible leadership capabilities, capacity. And it was you, I believe, Carlo, that gave Mark a high five. And you said, one day when I grow up, I want to be like Mark, kind of in essence, because you classified yourself, bam, you classified yourself as a no nonsense, get it done type of guy. You know, I kind of knew that about you, but I didn't. And I didn't know Mark well enough to know that he's a strong influencer in your group and in his own company as a great leader.
We're all great leaders, actually. That's what brings us to the table together, I think. And for me, it's just, I'm a technician at heart.
Okay.
So when you're asking about those names, who's a mechanic? I am. Who's a technician? I am, because in my head, I'm a technician. I'm always taking things apart in my head and putting them back together.
Got it.
That's what I really enjoy, the passion of that. So when I moved up through my own business to management and then I get away from the wrenching, I'm still wrenching with my guys in the back of my head when they're working on something.
What are you doing every day to lead the company?
Oh boy. I'm almost in semi-retirement right now, so I'm only going in a couple days a week right now.
What are you doing in the other time?
We have an Airstream trailer, so we do a lot of camping and holiday. We like to go to, you're American, so it's like state parks. We go to state parks.
Sure, yeah.
But provincial parks in Ontario. My wife has a foster care dog right now, so she's taking care of a
Nice.
seeing eye dog puppy. His name is Wonton. He's adorable.
I love it.
We take the two dogs.
So
take
you're
them
slowing
camping.
down.
Slowing down a little bit.
Was it the heart attack that did this, or is this the perfect evolution for you right now?
I wouldn't say the heart attack. I'd say the heart attack probably was an eye-opener for sure 7 years ago and made me realize that, you know, I'm not invincible and I'm not going to live forever. And I got to take care of me and my family. These guys gave me that other 9 lives back. You know what I mean? So I was able to not worry about the shop. I got back in there and I was only off for about 6 weeks. I was off for 2 months.
2 months. You still worry about him, Carlo?
No.
No? He's over the hump?
Nah, Mark's awesome. Come on. Again, he got his poop together and cleaned up his health. You know, he's a poster child for what you can do with after that type of an incident. And we all have our problems with the shop, staff issues and customer issues. You come back to that, that stuff is still there.
So it makes it exciting.
But again, it's an eye opener. Both Glen and everybody, I think all of us have changed. And it was just a realization that, and you hear it in your podcasts, somebody got an impact on their lives, and it was that forced them to make the change. They should have done the change prior to that incident, but it was the incident that caused it. And Mark was just, I'd always make fun of Mark. I'm like, Mark, do you ever go to work anymore? Like, I call the shop and I'm like, yeah, Mark's off. I'm like, I know again. But again, at first I was like, must be nice. And then I realized, yes, it is nice. He's got his operation running. He puts his family first. He takes his time for going to the state parks and taking time off, and his business runs to the level that he feels that he needs it to run at. And he's prioritized which way he wants to go with it. I think that's a takeaway after this event.
Yeah.
So that's important.
You said everyone's changed. How did you change?
Like, it's just like I've always had a heart of being of service, to be honest with you. So when I got the call from Carlo, because Carlo called me after he got the call from Mark's wife,
Sandy,
and I'm like, yeah, I'm all in. Like, don't worry about it. I have 2 locations in Oakville. We have really good managers. Everything will be looked after. it just solidified with me the importance of being in like a local group with these guys and just like, I don't know, the camaraderie and knowing they have my back if I ever need them.
Yeah. But what changed? Did this impact you that you need to exercise, eat better, less stress?
So I have my own stories, but yeah, part of that did for sure. But I think more of what changed, not so much in my personal life, but in business wise, making sure I have processes, all that kind of stuff in place. As for the personal side of my life, yeah, that's a whole other area but Mark's been a real, poster child for me too.
Inspiration.
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 To change. Yeah.
Wow.
To change. So, yeah.
So you don't want to talk about that other
Okay.
stuff.
Yeah.
Good. I understand.
Yep.
I'm with you, baby. You change, Carlo?
I think quite a bit. I'm still dedicated to the shop and I still put a lot of hours in. Definition of work-life balance, I don't believe in that. I think you either play hard or work hard. Take your pick.
Okay.
But yeah, I had to take a think and take a thought of it. And after Mark's situation, I always wanted a house in the country and, it was a little bit outside our stretch. And after that, we weren't even finished renovating our first house. We put it up for sale and sold it and found the house in the country and made an offer on it. We moved probably as soon as Mark was back in the shop, I was moving into my dream home.
You've all been there, right?
Yeah.
I have not.
I have, yeah.
I can only see it through pictures on Facebook because I haven't gotten an invitation for like Christmas parties or anything yet.
Glenn, let me work on that.
He's an absentee
please,
owner. He's
please.
not around.
Yeah, I'm not around very much. So whenever I get invitations, I'm in Hawaii or overseas.
Yeah, so on
Disney.
in a personal, the buying the house was a Mark situation. It was, you know what?
An eye-opener.
I don't want to wait until I turn 65 for we're going to get this and we're going to do this. I'm like, we're just going to do this now and we're going to figure it out.
Live in it now.
Yeah, the personal side of it. Mark's always said to me, he's like, Carlo, you need to plan a holiday. And then as soon as you're back, plan the next holiday. And I was always like, Mark, you're full of crap. And then we started doing that a little bit at a time. And I understand where Mark was coming from, which was there is excitement up to your time that you're going to be away, even if it's simple. And then you have your excitement because you're gone. You come back and you get deflated by your business and it wears you down. But you've got your next trip booked and now you're excited for the next one. And this
Then you
pendulum,
come back refreshed.
this swing of taking time off, I've started to adopt it. So I've done a few more European vacations and stuff like that. Again, the play hard, work hard type situation. The business side.
Can you relate to this at all, Carm?
No, I was just going to hire you to fix me. Are you kidding me? He told you to do this stuff. You were inspired because you don't want to miss out.
I'm the younger guy out of the group. I think Rex was always godfather in our
father,
group. Yeah.
Todd's father, Rex, is here.
Okay.
Yeah, he was always the godfather in the group, but I always looked to the guys like, hey, they've already been 2 steps ahead of me. I think Mark's medical situation was more impactful because I was there every day. And it was like, what happens if this was my situation?
Yeah.
And Mark's got 10 years on me.
Yeah, I'm 60 this year.
Yeah, he's got 10 years on me. And I'm like, I just don't want to be in that situation because, I'm not going to have backup. And it triggered a number of things within the business. In the business side, I got onto an SOP platform and started getting extremely intense into building all the systems. Mm-hmm. So documenting the whole company, like how to take garbage out and how to open the door, how to close the door, like everything. We've been at that for 7 years, building standard operating procedures.
You regret doing that at all? No, it was a good thing.
That's right up Carlo's alley, though.
Yeah. Super OCD.
Yeah.
But it was someone jumped into my business. Could they do what these guys can do? Well, they may not be around because they're in a different stage of their business. But I may need someone else to jump in and maybe they don't know how to operate it. But I thought I better have an operating manual to run this thing and have a backup plan. So at least my staff could do payroll or could do management decisions.
Contingency plans. I mean, I think you've always been trying to get to that level.
Yeah. You know what, Carmen, that's a good word because I took a training program by Elite and there was a coach by the name of Jim Murphy. And I was young when I took his class and Jim was doing a class on a continuity plan. I had no interest at it. And it wasn't until Mark's situation that I opened the file back up and it's basically if something happens to you,
what are you going to do?
What are the marching orders for the company?
Yeah.
And we finish that continuity plan off totally start to finish and we keep it updated. So insurance, passcodes, everything about the company. So my wife knows if something happens, open that folder and that'll give you all the instructions on what to do with the company and who to call, what to do. I share that with some of the guys in the group. They have an older version of it, but I share it with them so they know.
Yeah, but most importantly, you call Mark, Todd, and Glen.
Yeah, it's a big part of it. I learned the difference between a personal will and a business will after that. So we have a personal will, but I needed a corporate will.
Yeah.
So I didn't know that you had to have one for your company. So we got a corporate will. So it lays everything out just in case.
We've done episodes on this, and it was Seth Thorson who came on and did the yellow, red, green envelope story. It was a great episode, and it's eye-opening. You know, at this point, we're almost 10 years into the podcast, and I think in the early days we were doing different kinds of episodes, but, you know, we're all getting older, and this stuff is more critical than ever. The people that were listening in their 50s are now in their 60s, and the 60s are now in their 70s, and we've been trying to tell them to plan to, you know, the succession and all that great stuff, and how much I believe in coaches, and that, you know, you've got to have an expert to help you if you're floundering at all. It's more important than ever if you're listening to us to not just fluff this away, but to seriously take some marching orders away, because you're listening to a real world. This isn't hey guys, come in, let's do a movie. Let's write fiction. This is real world stuff. Pay attention. Wow. So you can teach me how to do all this stuff?
No, not at all.
You can teach me how to actually plan a vacation and then my next one?
Oh, vacation's easy. Yeah, I can plan that for you. No problem.
All right, okay.
Give me your credit card.
Yeah.
Tracy, make sure Ann doesn't
Tracy,
listen
where does he want to go?
Well, our next bucket list is going to Italy.
Yeah, we want to go to Italy.
There you go.
There you go.
Don't go in August.
There's
okay.
planes leaving tomorrow.
That's right.
I love
it's
that.
easy as that.
Oh my God. Yeah, I bet you. Every day. Every day.
Sorrento's nice. Sorrento's nice down the Amalfi Coast. Rome. You got to go to Rome for sure.
Oh my God.
See the Colosseum.
Everybody.
Gladiator. That's where the gladiators were. It's amazing. Like,
Can I buy a gladiator skirt?
Sure.
They sell everything in Italy.
Yep.
My wife loves gladiator skirts. She wants me to get one and wear one.
Yeah. My
She
wife
does
likes
not.
Scottish tartan, so I have to get one and play the bagpipes, apparently. So we'll see.
How's your business, Carlo?
It's been good. We focused on growth. I'm like any other shop owner, you know, it's the numbers and building it. And it's been in the training class today, Alan brought up a slide on the E-Myth. And that's been really the focus for the last number of years was dial it down and get a systemized business running that can run without me. It's been positive. I'm like everybody else. You know, we all have staff issues and people problems and customer problems. That stuff's never going to go away. But
Have you done anything with EOS?
I looked into them. You know what? I was brought to the table by a really good friend who passed away, Harry Cousins, and he got me onto that. I've heard a lot of it on the podcasts.
Yeah.
And Seth, I think, runs his operations
Yeah, he does.
with that process.
Yeah,
I
he
remember
does,
reading.
yeah.
But I haven't followed through the process. I talked to them.
Are you a visionary or the integrator in the business?
I'm more the integrator.
See, I knew that about you. That's why I asked the question.
Yeah.
Who do you hire to be your visionary?
I have a personal coach that I've had for quite a while. So a CEO, ex-CEO of a company. He's helped me out whenever I need him. I usually go to him. I do struggle with entrepreneurial visionary. That's just not my forte. So I'll lean on some of the guys in the group. I'll lean on a podcast quite often.
What if tomorrow you could go in and do something that you're so good at the top of your list? What would it be? Would you be back in the base?
No.
No? What would you do?
Marketing.
Marketing?
Yeah.
Okay.
Marketing. I like the social media. I like the marketing aspect of the business. You know, just
But developing it as a visionary or doing it as an integrator?
no integrating.
Wow.
Yeah, the visionary stuff, I can't come out of, like, you know, someone said to me, Carlo, I said, I'm good at creating stuff. And he said, no, not really, Carlo. You put a blank piece of paper in front of you and you get frustrated because you don't know where to start. And it's taken me 20 years after he said that to go, he's absolutely right. You give me a blank piece of paper, I don't know where I'm going.
Yeah.
But you put something on the paper, I'll figure out how to alter it, change it, and make it better. It took someone to say that to me because I'm like, I come up with all sorts of stuff. No, Carlo, you just take a lot of people's other stuff and just make it better.
Sure. And that's good. I like that.
That's the reality of it.
It's okay.
So I like the marketing. I like the social media side of the business. I like the systems of it. I struggle with what I said this morning with Mark. I struggle with just patting a guy on the back saying, high five, good day. I actually consciously, and not a leadership, that's just normal in a leader.
Yeah.
So I struggle with that type of stuff. So I always will run and hide to my
Okay, so there's people listening to this and says, man, I'm just like Carlo. What do you do? How do you convince yourself that you need to give a high five to somebody?
I listen to a lot of these podcasts.
Okay, but it's at the moment. Someone did something great, and you say, it's just not in my will to go love on this person for doing the right thing. How do you get over that hump and do it? Or do you never, ever do it?
I have in the whiteboard, it says, just make sure you give sincere appreciation every day to one person on the team. And it's on the whiteboard in front of my desk. And I just make sure I have to consciously read it and go, so who downstairs needs a high five and a pat on the back? And it comes to toolbox meetings. I make sure on Friday, the toolbox meeting, somebody needs a high five, and it comes from the owner. I just ask around. I'm like, who needs a high five this week? And I make sure we get that person acknowledged.
Mark, do you pick up the phone and say, who'd you love today?
No, but I think I'm going to start.
Yep.
That's a good one.
Accountability.
For myself, I don't have to really give people a structured high five, I guess. I don't know. I just walk through the shop. Good morning. Everybody says good morning. You guys need anything? No, we're good. Or yes, the scan tool subscription's getting expired soon. Oh, okay, I'll take care of it. Put it on the whiteboard, and my team sort of just does what they need to do.
Wow. It's like a well-oiled machine.
Yeah, it's two different. I ran with Mark's crew, and it's different. It's just they would socialize after the end of the day, and they wouldn't leave on a Friday night. I'm like, go home. Like, I want to go home, and they would just hang there. And
Waiting for everybody to be done for the day to lock up.
Glenn, I have to ask you a question. He has his heart attack. You guys go over. You're there with Carlo. You have a different culture in this business because of who he is. Carlo isn't. Did you notice this guy struggling at all?
I did not really notice him struggling at all. I think it was more he went in with an attitude of...
But he was the process guy. He walked in.
Yeah.
I mean, you each had your own strengths.
Oh, yeah, for sure. But Carlo went in there with the intestinal fortitude to actually make change where, we'd known Mark's numbers and Mark's business for years and have been after him, let's say, for doing different things. Well, this was the catalyst for change.
Implementation, yeah.
And Carlo spearheaded
He
that
stepped up
change.
to the
and
gutsy
I was there.
move. It was a gutsy...
Absolutely. It was a gutsy
yeah.
move, right? Because we don't know how Mark's going to react in the end, right? Like he's in his hospital bed, but we're just going to do it. But you know what? In the end, like for his business, it was fantastic. I think we had like a record few months in his business when we were there, right? So... Anyhow, I think that's
one of my best Novembers.
Correct.
the staff loved me.
I had a heart attack. I had the best November of ever.
Yeah.
But my staff is amazing. And
They are.
They love these guys too. Like they know them. When they come over to say hi, have a coffee, whatever, they'll come out and say hi and shake their hands and stuff like that.
So when you need a process reviewed, who do you call?
I guess if I had I just called Glen last week about something. I can't remember what it is now, but it was like, I need to bounce this off you because we mentor each other with questions like that. And I can't think what it was now.
You don't call Carlo?
Of course I do call Carlo.
I probably charge me now.
I think it was Carlo also sent us a diesel truck customer because they didn't do diesel trucks. So he says, take it over to see Mark at Mark's Auto Service. We do that kind of stuff. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we all have our strengths and our weaknesses, right? Like when Carlo's talking about how he's passionate about the structure and the SOPs and all that kind of stuff, right? I am much more I'm almost going to say it, I don't think it's polar opposite, but it's quite a bit opposite where I'm more like empowering to my people and say, here it is, run with it, right? And it works for me, but I have a lot more faith in that. Do you know what I mean? But that's the nice thing about our relationship with each other. We kind of keep everybody in balance, right? Because there'll be times where I'll be looking at my numbers or something, and then Carlo say, hey, Glenn, like what's going on? And I'll be like, I lost track of that because I've left it to somebody to do and I haven't paid attention to that. You know what I mean? Carlo's like shaking his head. We keep each other in check even to this day.
I will tell you this, if you're listening through audio, this is going to be a great episode. But if you're going to go to the YouTube channel, the Carm Capriotto YouTube channel, and watch this, you're going to see a lot of expressives.
I'm trying to just smile.
And you're going to see Carlo mouthing things that nothing came out of his mouth, but you could figure out what the words were.
Yeah.
Again, it's
a family show, Carlo.
We've all leaned on each other, and in the group, we've all evolved now. Like I think Mark and Glenn have taken more of the absentee pathway in life. Like Mark's maybe part-time, Glen's more full-time.
Away.
I'm still a few years behind the scenes, but just depends on what someone wants to do out of their company. Like for me, it's my end game is E-Myth says it's to sell it one day, build it to sell. That's the end goal.
Every decision you make, I remember reading E-Myth Revisited, and I think in the first page, every decision you make should be made upon you getting out, selling the business.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think unless your family's like you got succession, you got a son, a daughter, someone in the business you're going to succession to, you're a technician, you're going to success. You need to be thinking about that years. That's not just something like, okay, next year we're going to pass it over to the
Junior.
tech who's been with us for 10 years. Like this is a 5-year discussion that you've done numerous podcasts on that.
Yeah.
I don't have a family member who's going to take
You don't
this
have
over.
family, but you're second gen.
I'm second gen.
Is Dad still with us?
Dad's still with us, just coffee and take a paycheck. That's about the extent of it. But he's a good moral compass, moral support discussion. He listens to my bullshit.
Okay. By the way, I love coffee, Trace, and I still want a paycheck, so remember that. Glen, any family?
My father started our business back in 1969, so we're in our 55th year. Unfortunately, my father's in a long-term care facility now, so he's unable to be at work and so on. So we work with him. But my youngest son, Ethan, who's 21, is working with us in the business. No desire to take it over. So we are full bore in like making this thing work for resale.
Got it.
Yeah. So we're there. Like we could pull that switch anytime.
What about you, Mark?
Well, that's been a topic of discussion with my financial planner and obviously Sandy, and we're trying to find our way in that next,
what's next for
step.
you? Yeah.
So we're going right now on the part-time ownership and putting in an action plan for a 5-year plan, I think is what our...
Maybe the idea will come to you one day in Rome.
Yeah, or Paris again.
Is this unique amongst the teams that you know in your peer groups and from people around the country, Canada, North America? Is this, I'm going to call it a fraternity, and I don't mean it to be a fraternity, but you're all in Oakville. You've all supported each other. You don't consider yourselves competition, but you're competitive. You share. This seems to me to be one of the most unique relationships I know of. How about you guys? I mean, ever see somebody that's ever duplicated this?
Shop coach just recently said to two of the other missing members of the group and stuff, he said, I've only seen this in the top 5% of North America, that people are on this level. Like with some of the members of the group, we're at a level where I know their RSPs, I know their trust funds, I know their bank accounts, I know everything about their business and their personal life. Shop owners don't typically dig on that level.
Deep, yeah.
Yeah.
But you got to know it because we call them board members. I'm your board member. I want to do X decision in my company. What do you think I should do? Well, I know your strategy is maybe tax savings out of the company, or you're trying to go through and do something. I'm like, well, that just doesn't jive with that decision. So you need to sort of see that. And that's not that I'm saying anything wrong with 20 groups, but sometimes 20 groups are too much fluff and not enough depth. And it's a lot of talk about the sales, the GP, the hours per OO. And really, someone used to say, you got to drop a shop owner's pants to really see what's going on with the business. And I think that's true. I think we got to a level in our businesses that we were really able to help.
That's where I was going to go, Carlo, is that, I think a 20 group is super important. And it takes you from trying to figure out how to make your daily day and get your numbers in order. And once you get your numbers in order and you understand those numbers and you understand what minutia affects those numbers, then it's that next level, the boardroom level, I would say.
Yeah, I agree, Mark. Because we can share numbers all day long in some kind of composite that we all see or what have you. But until you get to the background as to like personally what, Glen is looking to glean from his business in the end, or Carlo or Mark, right? Like that's a whole other level and depth of conversation that a lot of 20 groups definitely don't get into. So
Mark, Glen and I have had some very close heart-to-heart conversations about our personal lives. Would I do that in a 20 group? Not really. Everything's fine. Thumbs up. But in this group, when you get really close, I know what's going on in Glen's life, and Glen knows some of the things in my life. I'm not sharing that with very many other people, but the people at my table understand that if Carlo's got that problem in his life, that's a reason why he may not move on a business decision,
Yeah.
or that's why he's reacting with his employees the way he's reacting. And I think that's some of the takeaways after Mark's heart attack is we got a little tighter, and in other cases we got a little further apart because over the years it's just because we've made those decisions to be more absentee or more part-time. So,
But it started with trust, didn't it?
Absolutely.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
Big time.
big
Yeah.
part of it. Yeah, it's a big part of it.
I wrote that down. I'm listening to you guys, and I'm saying this couldn't have happened without trust. And to your point about 20 groups, you may have 20 people, 25, however large the groups are, and they work in many cases, and they're good for people. But to fragment this out into this, as I called it earlier, a little bit of a fraternity, and you're, if you will, brothers in arms, trust. If the trust wasn't there, one of you wouldn't be at the table, or all of you.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. Someone said that. They said, you guys are like a fraternity. And he says, that's kind of a problem because you don't challenge each other as much anymore. You won't, it's your buddy-buddy system. I sort of disagreed with that. And I thought, you know what?
Gloves are off. We just
I think
call it.
I have no problem
Yeah.
being in someone's face. And everybody knows that's just the way I am.
Yep.
I have no problem being in your face because you're not going to be offended by it. But I'm really going to call you out. I think in a brother type group, that type of thing, I think that you have that freedom to do that.
No question. Yeah,
Okay.
I agree.
Let's try to wrap this up. But what I want to ask you, Mark, is lifestyle changes that you may have made because of your heart attack.
Mostly it was diet. I was about 270 pounds, I guess. I'm a fairly tall guy. I'm 6 foot, but I'm probably shrinking now. But so I went on a whole food plant-based diet with no oil. Dr. Esselstyn is a doctor out of Cleveland, Ohio. He's done some research on reversing heart damage. So that's why I've done that with my wife, Sandy, and she does. It's because of her. I wouldn't be doing this by myself.
Right.
She's just so good at taking care of me, and she makes all our meals. It's all natural stuff.
You were telling me before we turned on the mics that you've got dinner in the car. If we have dinner here, he says, I have it in the car.
Yeah, I brought my own lunch today just because I know that I can't eat any, because with no oil, it's no oil in anything. So there's oil in bread, there's oil in salads, dressings, there's oil in lasagna, there's oil everywhere.
How about wine? Is there oil in wine?
No, that's good. So I can have the wine and I can have the beer. And that's what I told my surgeon. I said, I'll do this, but only if I can have the odd beer and wine on the weekend. He says, yep, no problem. I said, okay, I'm in.
Imagine trying to figure out what your trades would be
It's like,
as you're trying to figure out new ways to eat.
but plant-based diet is getting easier. There's more health food restaurants. There's more health food stores. And I have to admit, for you guys that eat meat and cheese and all that stuff, it probably is quite bland. But because we do no salt, no sugar, we taste all the flavors in the food. To me, it tastes really great. But I could relate to someone having a gluten-free piece of bread and it just tastes like cardboard. But I'll eat that now and it's like ice cream because it's special. It's made in a store,
All right. So when I eat corn on the cob with butter, salt, and a little pepper, I'm going to go to hell, right?
No, you're going to enjoy it. You're going to enjoy it.
Yeah.
But I challenge you, Carm. Try making your corn on the cob on the barbecue in the husk and open her up, let it cool down a little bit and eat it plain. And you'll taste the sugar. You'll taste the corn. It's
That's
amazing.
so good.
It is so good.
That's why I have
no
mine.
salt,
Nothing
no
on it.
butter. I challenge you to try it. Corn season's still on right now. You can try it.
Yeah.
So good.
Let's do
Definitely try it.
Let's do a cooking show. What do you think?
There you go.
Yeah.
At an automotive cooking show. to the
Actually,
network.
not at my shop because I don't do it anymore. But you probably could do a cooking episode with
I did.
some of the smokers and barbecuers
That's right.
that are out there.
You're 100% right. I actually did it with a friend of mine who actually, back when we were doing all kinds of live stuff on Aftermarket Weekly, that was the name of the show.
That'd be amazing.
He actually he cooked out in his barbecue live. It was so much fun. Logistics were unbelievable trying to make it happen. Yeah, I know. This was great. Thank you for the update. It's great to see all of you in a much different environment like the last time when you came on and it just, you were a year out of this thing. It was a completely different episode. But if you want to look it up, it was 341, remarkable 331. Go listen to that. But thank you for this. This episode will be in the 900s. So yeah,
Coming up to 1,000. That's
yeah,
amazing.
we're coming up to
Thank
coming
you.
up to 1,000. Thank you for your listenership, your support, and for us to logistically get all together. I know we were missing Todd; he couldn't make it, but this was a really refreshing episode. Thank you for being so.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, thank you for having
Thank
us.
Great.
Yeah.
Humbled to hear.
Carlo, Sabucco, Glen, Colling, Mark Bergasse. Good to have you here.
Thanks, Carm.
Thanks, Carl.
Thanks, Carm. And Tracy.